Welcome to the Empowered Money Girl, where we break down the barriers to financial confidence, celebrate women's wins, and reveal the secrets to living boldly and well. I'm your host, Josette Mandela. Today's guest, Albana Theka, is a distinguished data and technology executive with over 20 years' experience driving innovation and impact across finance, business, and healthcare. She's renowned for building and executing data technologies that transform organizations, improving performance, reducing costs, and enhancing customer outcomes. Albana is also a leading advocate for women in tech and finance. As president of the Financial Women's Association, she champions exclusivity and advancement, mentoring women through career transitions and leadership growth, reflecting her deep commitment to building powerful, innovative, and supportive communities. Beyond her executive leadership, Albana is a creative force as a vocal artist, using music to bring people together and inspire collective success. So I've got a question for you. What does it take to truly lead with both innovation and heart? Albana is here to show us how it's done. If you're ready to be inspired to lead, innovate, and uplift others, you'll love this episode. Please welcome the visionary, empowering, and multi-talented Albana.
Thank you so much, Josette, for that introduction. I really appreciate it, and I'm very happy to be in your podcast.
So glad to have you. And so can you take us back to the beginning? What was the path like that you took to get to where you are today?
Absolutely. I have an interesting upbringing. I was born and raised in a small country in Eastern Europe, and I came to the US in 1999, and my first stop was in Kentucky, where I was an exchange student and I completed my high school studies. Once I finished, I moved to New York, where I went to college at St. Francis College, and I also pursued my MBA. I really enjoyed my time in New York, and I wanted to be in investment banking. At the time, I was working for a small retail bank, and my dream was to be in Wall Street. But I graduated in the crisis of 2008, not an ideal time to be in Wall Street. So I pivoted my career and I transitioned to healthcare, doing finance and financial analysis and planning. I had an amazing career at NYU Langone Health, where I met amazing mentors and people who believed in me. And as a director, I led large teams in financial planning and analysis. In 2020, things changed, and I had to do one more time another pivot. So I transitioned from finance to data and analytics, which is another passion of mine. I love working with creative tools, understanding, especially now, AI and all the different AI and Gen AI tools. So this is what I am currently interested in and what I'm exploring. However, in 2020, I also joined the Financial Women's Association. I was looking for a community of women to support me, who could understand me, share the same struggles that I was going through throughout my career. And I found this community who was very supportive, embraced me, embraced my creativity and my uniqueness. And through my involvement with the Financial Women's Association, I was able to rise through the ranks, and I am now the president of this nonprofit organization in New York. We have such an amazing history. It was established in 1956, almost 70 years ago. And I'm really extremely proud of the legacy, and I want to keep that legacy going. So I have a huge responsibility on my shoulders to keep this organization alive and thriving for another 70 years. Like you said, I also love creativity, and I am a musician. I am a singer in a band that we created a couple of years ago together with my husband. And I truly enjoy writing and producing original music in the genre of pop, funk, rock, and we are performing all over New York.
Wow, that's so exciting. All those different hats that you wear. That's just amazing. So, with all those hats, was there one point in your career where you realized I'm ready to lead at a higher level?
Absolutely. I think my initial management experience was when I was at NYU Langone. I was extremely lucky that I worked for a woman, a manager who was a mentor, a champion, and a friend, really, who taught me what it means to lead with authority, with grace. First exposed to management, I started working with small teams initially, and I really enjoyed developing people, truly caring about what motivates them, what makes them give their and show up as their best selves. And then little by little, I learned how to lead bigger teams, and there is a difference between leading smaller teams and larger teams. While you have to give up being inside of everything every day, you have to lead with a bigger vision, and you have to make sure that just because you are not you don't know everything, or you don't know exactly what is happening at any point in time, you have to trust that your team is doing their best and they're the ones producing and making sure that you and the team is successful together.
Oh, I love that. Making sure, understanding that with the bigger teams comes not only more responsibility, but now you're responsible for the big picture, not the day-to-day stuff. And that I think that's sometimes hard for people to really understand, is that what got you to that first level of leadership isn't going to get you to the next level, that you really need to be able to expand to and trust your team to get to that next step.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I'm guessing that you found that really helpful to when you decided to move into that financial women's association and started climbing the ladder there.
Absolutely. I think, especially in a profit organization where the members are the ones who are doing all the work, they're volunteering their time, they're not getting paid for the work that they do. That is the biggest challenge, to try to motivate people who are giving their time, right? And so, how do you do that? Well, first of all, you have to believe in the mission and the vision of the organization. Our mission is to advance and empower all women in finance and in the financial services industry. And so I always, every time that I think about myself, why do I do it? And why do I give my time? And why do I put so much time and effort into it? That's kind of my North Star. I just go back to that mission and vision of this organization, and I say, yes, I am doing it in empowering women. I believe in supporting one another, connecting one another, and creating that strong community.
That's love that. Absolutely love that. So, how would you define financial independence, and how do you know if you got it?
Yeah. So it's interesting because growing up in Albania, my family was a middle class family. I never really was exposed to any financial hardship, but at the same time, I knew that I couldn't have everything that I wanted. There were limits to the things that I could do and I could achieve. But even though my father had a construction company at the time, which after a couple of years went bankrupt because of government legislations and changes in the government, my family never really exposed me to that financial crisis or hardship. So in a way I was shielded, and I never really understood what it is to struggle, but there are limits. And so being here in America, having a family, financial there is more about financial sustainability, and I worry about the financial well-being of my family, of my partner, or in general. However, I also feel that financial sustainability is also connected to your personal growth. So you have to invest in your personal, so that your funds. So I think you have to really look at yourself first. What do you bring to the table? Who are you? Invest in yourself, invest in your growth. And through that, you will figure out and release within yourself the power that you have to go out there and create that financial health and that financial freedom. So that is the first step, I think, is looking inward so that you can, collect what's coming on the outside.
Love that insight. And so, what kind of relationship do you have with money today? And how has it evolved? It sounds like you told us a little, but could you
Yeah.
expand on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was extremely lucky that my first job was in a financial institution. I worked for a small retail bank, and I got firsthand exposure to what it means to have a savings account and what it means to save and put that money away rainy day. I actually over life insurance 18 years old, and it was actually completely by chance, because I was talking to a financial advisor who came at the bank, and they said to me, oh, because you're young, your premium is going to be very low. And although for me it was a lot of money at the time, I thought, okay, let's try it. Let's give it a try. I can put $1,000 aside annually to have this life insurance. And then later on, I realized that that was probably a really smart decision. And so the relationship with money really has evolved. Every job that I have held, I have invested in a 401k. I have tried to put money aside, and that is something that I continue to practice even today. Whatever you do, whatever you get from your paycheck, the first cut goes into your savings account, and then everything else. So I continue to have that practice. And then also, what I'm a true believer of is diversification. And I actually talk about this with pretty much everyone. And I'm also in a Toastmasters club, and I recently gave a speech about diversification, because diversification is not something that helps in your finances, but it's also something that helps in your personal life. You have to make sure that you're not putting all your eggs into one basket. You're just, you have to invest in different types of investment avenues, but also in your own personal life. You can't just focus on only one thing. And that is what I'm trying to do with my life too. I love data and analytics, but I also love supporting women in finance. I love being creative and singing. I like being out there and connecting with people. I joined Toastmasters. So, all these little things that you think don't matter, they actually enrich your life and enrich your personal growth and well-being.
Oh, that's such great advice. The diversification, not only with your money, but with your life. I absolutely love that. And you're right. Uh, the fact that you lived through the 2008 and had to figure out, how do I adjust my career to make things work, and then 2020 and good old COVID comes along and things have to shift again. That's just amazing, and such a clear way of describing what it is that other women should be looking at and doing for themselves to, like you say, enrich your life, and as well as grow your wealth. So on that topic of growing your wealth, do you actively invest now?
I do. I do. I try to invest in ETFs, in some stocks. Some of it I do it myself, and some of it I do it through a financial advisor. I think all of us need people to help us because we cannot do everything ourselves. And even the smartest people will tell you that, sometimes you just don't have the time, and you have to prioritize where do you spend your time the best, right? Do I spend my time actually investing my money, or do I want to focus on other things that enrich my life and my success, and then have the people and the support who will help you? But yeah, those are all the different avenues. After you save, and after you put money away for your retirement fund, this is what I do. I take whatever, put it in the stock market. And also I work with really great financial advisors who help me make smart decisions.
Love that. And so, what advice would you have for women who want to start building their own financial independence, especially if they're currently relying on a partner or somebody else to help them with that?
Yeah, this is a great question. I would say the first thing that one should do, as a woman, I think the hardest thing is to first start looking at your finances. Many of us struggle with that. I have conversations with people all the time, and I say, well, have you looked at your finances? Have you looked at your expenses? Have you looked at how much money you spend on a daily basis? Where does the money go? Do you really need to spend that money there, or can you put it somewhere else? And many of us have that initial fear of, I just don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. And I think the first step is getting over that fear and taking a leap and sitting down for a couple of hours and looking at your finances, look where you spend your money, how you spend it, and make smart decisions of where you can cut your expenses. And I have to do that myself. I was talking to my husband the other day, and I said, we need to sit down and look at our finances. And he's like, he's like, I can't do it today because I just got like a panic attack or an anxiety attack. And so I was like, okay, fine. Let's not do it today, but let's come back in a day when you feel a lot more comfortable, and we have to sit down and do it. And we have to put things on paper. And so I think that is the first step, I would say, getting over that fear and just like thinking about it. I'm just going to look today. I'm not going to make any decisions. We're just going to look at it. And then we'll come back another day and make some decisions.
And that's such smart advice. And that's actually something I teach in my program, is that the first thing I want you to do is keep track of your expenses and write it down. I don't want you to change anything. I just wanted to write it down. And then at the end of the week, look at it so that we're kind of planning for those things and letting them see where the money is going. Because I know in the beginning, when I was first kind of trying to figure out things on my own, I had no idea where the money was going. I take money out on a Friday afternoon, $50 out of the ATM, and you figure, oh, that'll last me all next week. And then Monday morning you go to stop at Starbucks for coffee, and you're like, $3. Where did the rest of that go? And you're scratching your head. And
Yeah.
Until you start writing it down and realizing that, you went out for drinks one night, you went to a party, whatever it was. Maybe you
Yeah.
went to church and tithed, but all of these things add up. And it's easy when you just throw the cash in and aren't thinking about where is the money going. It's just easy come, easy go kind of mentality.
Absolutely. And what I would add to that is that make sure you know that you are at least aware of all your bank accounts, of your investment accounts, or anything, or your retirement funds, your 401k. Sometimes we sign up for a 401k at work, and then we never look at it, or we don't know what's in there, or even we don't even know how to access it. The first thing that I do when I sign up for a 401k, I go to the company's website, I download the application on my phone, and I make sure that at least once a month I'm checking all my different apps, and just to kind of understand what's happening, not that I'm actively doing anything on them, but just to know that you have it, it's documented, you have access to it, you're looking at it, you're aware of it. So always be aware of where your money is.
Definitely. Always be aware. And and I think the other thing, if you're in, like you say, a committed relationship, a spouse, you should let them know that you have these things as well, because both of, and obviously you should know what the spouse has as well, because God forbid something happens to either one of you, is the other one going to know what to do?
Absolutely. Exactly. And I think that's really in a relationship. One person is a lot more financially savvy than the other. And I believe that if you are in a relationship, it's a partnership. You both have to share the burden of your financial sustainability. You both have to be aware. You both have to know where everything is. You have to regularly communicate about your finances and make smart decisions together. And I think that's important if you want to grow as a couple and if you want to be, understand your finances. I think in every relationship, money is a big topic and not a lot of people like to talk about, but it's also a very important one.
And speaking of money being an important topic, do you believe that women should always have money of their own?
Yes, I do. I think, well, first of all, yes, the first step is just being aware of where your money is. And then, secondly, I think every relationship is different. Some couples have their money joined together, and that's okay. If that is something that you decide to do, that's perfectly okay, as long as you are aware what is happening with that money, how much each person is spending. You have open communications of money is going, and you continually talk about, okay, I will be spending this much money for this investment or this purpose, and you talk about it and you're okay and you're aligned. And that's okay to have a joint account and have your money joined if you have that open communication. Not every relationship is like that, and sometimes you have to protect yourself. And so I know people who also have a joint account, and they also have their own personal accounts for their own personal expenses. Maybe you want to have that freedom of doing your own thing, investing in your own thing, and that's perfectly okay. Again, it all comes to communicating about it. You decide what goes in each person's allocated fund, and make sure that you're good with that conversation and decision. But either way, I think communication is key.
Absolutely agree that, especially in a committed relationship, that you really need to both be on the same page. And because there's just far too many women that find themselves divorced or widowed later in life, and they always let the man manage everything, and then they're on their own, and suddenly it's like,
Yeah,
what do I do? Um,
I agree. And that's why it's so important to have those conversations and be aware where everything is. I mean, I'm lucky because I have a very understanding partner and we share that burden together. And sometimes I'm a little bit more involved with our finances than he is. And I wish he would be more involved, which is something that we're working towards. But I know a lot of women who, don't actually take the time to know what's happening in their finances, and they do let their partner take care of that. And I think that's okay too, as long as you're aware and as long as you're talking openly about it.
yeah, I love that. That definitely is the key, is that each of you are talking to each other and all on the same page. So when it comes to your identity and personal power, do you act differently in your personal life versus your business life, or are you pretty much what you see is what you get?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I love to be my authentic self everywhere, and I show up as myself. I know it's something that I have been, you know, I've had to think about myself. I have to think who I am a lot. I do a lot of meditation and writing down things, that thoughts that come to myself, to my mind, about what do I like to do, where do I want to spend my time, how do I want to show up in the world. And at the end of the day, you have to be your authentic self, because even if you try to be someone else, it shows up in different ways, and sometimes it backfires. So, as long as you're doing everything with you showing up as your authentic self, and also with showing up with your values and your beliefs, I think it's important to follow that, and your full self. And I have been extremely lucky, because throughout my career, even in the roles that I have had, um, and in the Financial Women's Association, my personal life, I have had leaders that have believed in me and have embraced every aspect of my person, who I am. And I believe that for anyone to be successful, you have to show up as your authentic self.
So, what's next for you? What ambitions still drive you forward?
Well, I'm really excited about what's for the next 2 years as president of the Financial Women's Association. And I'm on a mission to increase our membership by 20%, to partner with more firms and create additional partnerships, and also increase our brand visibility. I am a huge believer in connecting people. And so the more I speak to members, women and men who join our organization, the more I feel that synergy to connect people with each other. And so I am really a big proponent of creating a strong community, and connecting people with one another. So and then on my personal life, I would love to expand my creative efforts with a band, and professionally, I love experimenting with I am learning a lot more every day. It's such a changing field and industry, and that is really exciting. I'm a very growth-minded person, so I'm always learning, always growing, and I'm always looking for ways to impact others positively.
So, if there was just one message you could give to women listening today about owning their own independence, what would it be?
Independence is very important, and it's very crucial for someone's life. I believe that first you have to own, and you have to grow yourself, and you have to look at yourself first before you take care of someone else. So take care of yourself, grow as a person, personally and professionally, and then through your personal growth, try to help others as well.
So I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and a huge thank you to Albana Theka for sharing her wisdom and energy with us. If you found value in this conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share the Empowered Money Girl with your friends. The more we spread these stories, the more women we can empower to live boldly, both financially and every part of life. Until next time, keep thriving. And remember, your journey to empowerment starts with you.